everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and today I want to talk to you about some funny stories because honestly I think we need a little bit more fun and laughter in our lives right now. So I am a psychic and a medium. I do offer readings, and so some of these funny stories are from mediumship readings that I've given where I connect with your crossed over loved one and they give me information. Of course, you want to know that I'm indeed speaking to your loved one on the other side, and so they will describe themselves to me. They will perhaps give me other information like what kind of car they drove or what jewelry they gave you or a specific date or just who knows, whatever it is that they feel is relevant. It comes from them, right? Whatever they want to give you. So sometimes it's often that us over here that are left here want to know if our loved ones that have crossed over have sent us a sign, or maybe they have somehow gotten in touch with us, or let us know in some way that they're with us. So with spirits on the other side, it's very easy for them to manipulate electricity. So a common thing would be lights going off and on, smoke alarms going off, garage doors. I mean, basically anything that could be electrical. And I wish I had this on camera, but I didn't. I wasn't recording. I was having a Zoom call with some friends of mine, and my dear friend Alan said something about me being illuminated. And at that time, and I dare you to do it, come on. At that time, I do have a light that I use to light me up. Otherwise, I would look like I was sitting in a dark room. The light turned on so bright that I couldn't see. Literally, it was intense. Now, at that time, that wasn't, I do have a father on the other side who is quite the trickster, but it wasn't him. That was my guides, my spirit guides actually coming through to get my attention, to pay attention to those words. Those words are very important. Illuminate. You will be illuminated. You are illuminating others, right? So they can use electricity. But what I think is really funny, it's interesting, I should say, is that I have, let's say 9 out of 10 of these people on the other side will use electricity. But there's always that one oddball. There's always one who wants to use water. Now, I don't know why some of these people are attracted to water and want to use water. Maybe it's harder to do. I don't know. But it's never good. It's never been a good thing. So a funny thing that happened, and I also want to say, now, of course, I'm not casting aspersions at men, but I am casting aspersions at you men. That on the other side, again, in my experience, limited experience, small sample size. Don't take that the wrong way, men. I experienced that guys, men, are the ones that do these shenanigans, okay? And they will hook up with their brother. They'll find a friend. I mean, they run in packs. When you get over there, you don't know how to do all this stuff. So if you want to do it, then you need to find out how to do it. Hey, how do I affect these lights? I mean, you might fumble around yourself. And some people actually seek help. But this man that I'm going to tell you about his story, he didn't seek any help. He knew how to do this. He thought, anyway. I was in the reading and I was telling my client, your husband is going to try to do something with water. I just knew it. It was in his energy field. I could read the man's mind. He was thinking about water. Now, I'm always cautious when I tell people that because, look, turning your lights on and off is pretty harmless, right? I mean, okay, I get it. You're here. Thank you for telling me, right? But when these guys start messing with water, it always ends up in a bad way. So in this guy, when I told her, your husband is talking about water. He's talking about using water to get your attention, to let you know that he's with you. He really wants you to know that. He really wants you to know that he is in the house with you. He's often with you. He knows about all these projects you've done. I mean, and the man described what this lady was up to. I mean, he really knew what she was doing. But he wanted to do something with the sprinkler system. Okay, so I got that much. And she said, oh, no, don't tell me it was him. If you tell me that he did this, I'm going to be really mad at him. Well, I'm like, oh, damn. I guess I shouldn't have. I should know better. I told you just a sentence earlier that when it's water, I should always know better. It's never good. Never. Well, yeah, it was not good. So this gentleman thought that he could, again, he was in over his head. He was above his expertise level. He was messing with the sprinkler system. He was trying to do something with the valve, on-off valve. I think he was trying to make it, I mean, at the time, this stuff seems funny. You know what I mean? I think he was trying to make the sprinklers go off this has happened before. That's right. He was trying to make the sprinklers go off at a different time, right? Just an oddball time. He really didn't mean to cause trouble. He for sure did not mean to cause trouble. He did not want his wife mad at him. He didn't mean to cause her to spend money. It just happened. So what he did to the valve energetically, now how he did this, I don't know, because you have to have quite a bit of power, energy to move things, to really like turn a valve or something like that. I mean, they can do it for sure, but usually, and this gentleman had been over there for a minute. I mean, this wasn't like he'd only been there for a month. I mean, he'd been over there for a minute. So I guess he had some studying, time to do some studying, right? So he did something to the valve, and instead of having it cause it to be, go off in an oddball time, it went off and somehow it broke. And so it caused her to have to spend a couple of $100 to fix it. And the guy, the repairman, was like, how did this even happen? This is not, she's like, I don't know how it happened. Just fix it. So she was like, he cost me $200. So I was like, oh, snap. So, that's one of those situations where, how many times do we start a project, especially men, and get in over their heads and have to call somebody to fix it? So that's what happened to him. I encouraged him not to utilize water in the future, but in reality, it kind of just made him want to get it right next time. So I don't think he's going to give up that easy. So another funny story, and a couple of these I may have mentioned to you in one form or another, but the funniest story, there's a couple of really funny stories. The funniest story was Grandma. Now this was this Grandma? I think this was Grandma. Grandma, she crossed over. She'd been over for a few months, and she wanted to visit her granddaughter, who was an adult, who was, probably in her 30s, I think. So she didn't quite understand that when you think of something over there, it happens instantly. So if you think Hawaii, you're in Hawaii. If you think, oh, how's my granddaughter doing? You're going to end up in your granddaughter's house or apartment. Well, so that's what happened. And she had visited everybody and done all these things, and then she got to thinking about her granddaughter. So she ended up in her granddaughter's apartment. But her granddaughter had company. Her granddaughter had her boyfriend over there. They were by themselves. Now, albeit it wasn't the daytime, so she thought, it's perfectly normal to visit someone in the daytime, but she had her boyfriend over there, and her boyfriend were, getting to know each other without their clothes on. So the grandmother was like, literally frozen with trepidation and fear. She literally didn't know. When you get like that, listen, this has happened to me. When you get in that kind of frozen, you don't even know what to do. Like, you can't think. You're not thinking clearly. So she was stuck. She couldn't remember how to get out. Now, this has happened before, at least to one other client that I know of. that it was her daughter. But in this case, it was the granddaughter. And the woman didn't know how to get out, meaning she didn't know how to think and go back to the other side. So she literally went out the front door. She was like, and then she was in the hallway and she's like, I don't know how to get out of this place. This isn't how I got here. And now I don't know how to get out. And she was just like panicking, like, oh my God, I saw too much, I mean, like I'm getting the impression, burning your eyes out. You know what I mean? Do you guys remember that old expression? Like, my eyes were burned out. I don't know. She freaked out. She has her purse. Like, she's showing me she had her purse on her arm like this. And she goes into she goes through the front door. Of course, she doesn't need to open it. She pops into the hallway and she realizes she didn't come here this way. She doesn't know any more how to get out now than she did in there. So she literally had to walk around the hallway, which she said was like a rabbit warren. She said there was all these turns and she couldn't find, and she didn't want to go into any doors. At this point, for the love of God, she wasn't going to go through any more doors. She didn't even trust the exit door. She's like, young people do crazy things in the daytime. I don't know. They're not working. I don't know what's going on. So she literally had to go around this rabbit warren of hallways until she found a door that looked like stairs. It had stairs, and she could see there's a window, and she could see that it was stairs. And so she went down the stairs. This woman is a ghost, not a ghost. She's not a ghost. She's a spirit from heaven who could just pop anywhere. But she got so disoriented, she ended up going down the stairs before she realized that she could just pop back out of there. So I thought that was hilarious, especially because I could see this woman's face literally with her purse was white, leather purse under her arm, and she was visiting. She was dressed to go visiting. And she ended up seeing more than she wanted to. So anyway, another story about the sprinklers, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, right. It was another story about the sprinklers. Now, this time, I stand corrected. My apologies, please. This was a woman. It was a woman who had a daughter. The daughter was married to this guy that she didn't like. The woman is crossed over. She's in spirit. Okay. She comes down. She doesn't like the man. She never liked him. But now she really doesn't like him because she gets to see him as he really is, behind closed doors and whatnot. And she doesn't like him. He's stuck up. She thinks he's stuck up. He's full of himself. He thinks he's too good for the rest of the family. I mean, this is like the death knell for mother-in-law, right? So in this case, she adjusted the sprinkler system so that it would go off when this guy started his jog in the morning. He always started his jog, and he had planned the jog, around the sprinkler systems, because he would have to jog down this driveway sidewalk thing that would be lined with sprinkler systems. And so he always made sure that he left by a certain time so that he never encountered the sprinkler system. Well, of course, this time he encountered the sprinkler system, all the sprinklers, not just one side of the yard or the other side of the yard or one side of the sidewalk, but every single zone of those sprinklers went off at the same time. So there was nowhere he could run to get out of the water. It was everywhere. So she enjoyed that. She enjoyed seeing him dart back and forth trying to find a place that wasn't full of water spraying down on him. So she kind of enjoyed that. And another story is this guy, I read him not too long ago, really had a sense of humor. And he was telling me that he's been trying to get his wife's attention. And she just was not paying any attention to anything. Like, she could smell his cologne and she thought, what is that smell? She didn't put two and two together that, hey, that's my husband's cologne, right? Now he didn't wear it that often, but it was his signature. It was his signature cologne, he says. I love it. So anyway, he he told me, I'm in the reading, and he says, I'm trying to get her. She's like, why doesn't he send me any messages? I never get any messages. And he's like, oh my God, like this. He's like, I send her messages. I had my cologne. I've had our song play on the radio. I've done all these things, and she doesn't pay any attention to me. She didn't listen to me in life either. She never listened to me. So then he goes over to her. Literally, I'm seeing this. Of course, I do these readings via phone, but I energetically could see him and I could see her. And he goes over to her and he's like this. To her face. To her face. He's like, see? She can't see me. Look. She can't see me. I'm like, I know she can't see you. Of course she can't see you. She's not a medium. He's like, well, I'm telling you, she's not listening to me. I'm like, that was hilarious. So then I said, look, your husband is trying to get in touch with you. He played the song. She's like, yeah, I did hear that song twice, and I've not heard it in years. So I'm like, well, that's a pretty good indication that if you hear something not once but twice, and you haven't heard it in years, that's unusual. And I said, and he says that you smelled his cologne. And she thought, and she got really quiet on the phone, and she goes, is that what that was? And he's on the other side going, I told you, she doesn't listen to me. I'm like, well, yeah, he's getting a little exacerbated because he says he keeps sending you signs and you're not paying any attention to them. So please know that if he, and then he goes, I was going to say, please know if you hear the song again. And he interrupts me and he's like, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, great. Now she's got to recognize some other things she's not looking for. Well, I've already done that twice and she didn't pay attention, so I'm going to do something different. I'm like, well, why do you keep changing it up? How's she going to ever catch on? Well, now she knows better. She knows to pay attention. Woo! Okay, right. Okay, so you can see how it could be a little bit difficult. You can also see how in some situations you're looking for one type of sign and your person on the other side is sending you a different sign. It doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you guys, it doesn't matter if you guys on their deathbed agreed and handshook on butterflies. When they get over there, they just change their mind. Butterflies are hard. Maybe they're too hard to blend their energy with. Maybe it's really cool, more cool to do, a squirrel. Like I had a guy last week that wanted to do squirrels. And not only just squirrels, not like, oh, there's a squirrel and it's closer to the window than normal. I mean, anytime an animal acts abnormally, you can pretty much guess or bet that that's being influenced by spirit. But that wasn't good enough for this man. So we have like a whole crop of overachievers, right? So this guy couldn't just do get squirrels to come up to the window, right? Or sit on her car or anything that would be a little bit unusual. This guy had to have the squirrels do something with their cheeks. Now, I don't know if squirrels do this, or I don't know if there's a kind of squirrel that does this that I don't know about. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. It could be a chipmunk, but I don't know. But you know how hamsters store things in their cheeks and their cheeks get really big? This is what he wanted the squirrel to do. Now, never mind the fact that she's not going to notice. I mean, she's going to be like, look at that squirrel. Does he have the mumps? I mean, does that tell you that your husband is trying to give you a message? But anyway, this is what he wanted. He had a list. The squirrel had to have big cheeks or blow its cheeks out or have something in its cheeks. That was number one. Number two, the squirrel had to do acrobatics. So I'm not kidding. You had a list. The squirrel had to do acrobatics. So he's showing me the squirrels there's an outdoor patio table that's a glass patio table, and it has chairs. And the squirrel has to go from the chair. It has to jump to this limb that's, maybe 3 or 4 feet away. I mean, it's a pretty good jump. But not only that. No, that's not. See, again, this guy's got high standards, right? Not only that, but the squirrel has to get on the limb and barely catch it and then do some kind of acrobatics while it's trying to climb up the limb and The acrobatic part is the part that was supposed to catch her attention. That was the part. That was the whole reason, was the squirrel scrambling to get purchase and twirling around and hanging off and falling and then catching again. The squirrel was supposed to do that until she noticed. She didn't notice. She didn't notice. So, you can see how hard it is for spirit to get our attention, and you can see how hard it is for us both to understand the messages when they're together, right? The other message, and I've talked about this before, is a great story. The day of a reading I was giving, that night, or the night of, forget all that, doesn't make any sense. Another story that I could try to say is the morning before this session that I had with my client. A cardinal had come to the window and was literally clinging to the window and pecking on it, and it wouldn't leave until my client went and found her phone in the other room, got the phone, came back to the window, and took pictures of it. And that was not a quick trip. And then it left, but it pecked. She took several pictures of it. So fast forward to when I do the reading, and I said, your daughter is coming through saying that she sent a cardinal to you today, something about pecking on the window. And this woman was like, oh my God, I have photos, it happened. So, in that case, this cardinal did get her attention. She did take pictures of it. She does have that memory forever. But what did she say? I asked her to send butterflies. I don't know why she's not sending butterflies. Oh my God, her daughter got a cardinal to go to her kitchen window and somehow attach itself to it and peck at it. And that's what she said. The funny thing about this is the next thing that happened was the dad, he's actually her ex-husband, but obviously still the dad of this young lady that had crossed over. The next thing she's telling me is something about a snake. She did something with a snake, or there was something about a snake that she was involved with. And I thought it would be like a story from when she was a child. Maybe there was a snake and maybe her dad killed the snake, or maybe the snake was scared somebody, or I just assumed that it was from her childhood. The dad chimes in to say, no, the snake was in my mailbox yesterday. So he opened the mailbox and there was a snake in there that had come in through a ventilation hole in the back. So that woman, that young lady on the other side, gets extra credit for creativity. But anyway, listen, I hope these stories have brightened your day a little bit, maybe given you a sense of what it's like to work with your relatives or loved ones on the other side, and given you a sense that they're still in your life every day, all the time. They do affect electricity. That is the number one easiest thing. I had a situation where, and even I, a medium, I have 3 new ceiling fans that I put in all at the same time. And they were all working and it was fine. They were about a year old, right? And then one stopped working. And then about a day later, the next one stopped working. And then a day later, the third one stopped working. Well, in Texas, we live and die by ceiling fans. Okay, so it's not decor. It's a necessity. So I was like, I'll bet the batteries. They give you those cheap batteries when you buy things, because it was the remote that wasn't working. And so I went and got special batteries, ordered them, replaced all the batteries. It still didn't work. Am I still clued in? No, I'm not clued in. Not me. Nope, not me. So the next thing I did was I had this brainiac idea that somehow that they were on the same channel, right? So the infrared remotes weren't working because the ceiling fans, it was an open concept place, and theoretically you could kind of see that maybe they would be jamming each other. Now, does that make any sense? I had a whole year's worth of ceiling fans working. Now they're not working. I replaced the battery. They're still not working. And now I'm convinced myself that it's the infrared channel on the fan itself. This went on for a week, okay, because I had to look up how to change the infrared channel on the ceiling fan. And when I finally had a day off, I had gotten my step ladder out, and I was going to take the cowling off of the ceiling fan and take this plate off and then find this little circuit where you could actually change the channels. Now, why would all of a sudden the channels be jamming each other, right? No, it never occurred to me to think that. This is what I'm trying to say to you is that this stuff is so out of the realm of our ordinary lives, even for a medium, that we don't believe it. We don't trust it. So we just come up with something that makes sense in our everyday lives to be the reason. So about the time I get the stepladder out, I climb to the top of the stepladder, I'm about to take the cowling off, I hear my dad say, "Stop." And that's when I knew that I had been a victim of my dad's prank. And you know what? I'm one of those people that sometimes I can laugh at myself, but sometimes it just gets irritating. So I had been a week without a ceiling fan, and I was a little bit irritated. So I was like, "Dad, fix all these fans right now." Climbed down from my little step ladder, put my screwdriver back up, and stormed out of the house in true teenager fashion. "I'm going to give you a half a day. I'm going to run errands. It better be fixed when I come back." Sure enough, I was running errands. I ran into some friends. Errands turned into dinner. Didn't get home until much later. And when I came back, they were all working. True story. And the scary thing about it is that I, as a medium, wasn't connected enough to know that. I wasn't connected enough to think. Well, I just didn't think, number one, I didn't think my dad would do that to me. He's played so many jokes on me when he was alive. He's played so many jokes on me since he's been gone. I thought we had worked through this. I thought that he was going to give me a break. But obviously not, right? So when you have things like this happen in your house, I know that you can go to great lengths. Like, for instance, the lady that started this whole thing off, she called in a repair person to fix this thing, when in reality, it probably could have fixed itself. Because how it broke really was, he was trying to turn it. It had been turned, right? Metaphysically, it had been turned. But really, in reality, it had been turned as well. But when he turned it back, is when he really is the one that broke it. It wasn't her husband. But nothing ever would have happened had her husband not been there to mess it up in the first place. So anyway, hopefully this has been interesting and entertaining, because again, I feel like we need some entertainment right now. I know that I need some entertainment. We need to get our minds off of things. And it's always fun to hear the shenanigans that these people get to on the other side. And I'll be back with more shenanigans as well, because I just think they're fun, and I think they're informative, and I think some of them really want you guys to hear these things. Listen, you guys take care. It's wonderful to see you and talk to you. I hope you guys are all well. Enjoy yourselves. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you again soon.